It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for December 2nd, 2022. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Summer Games Jeff Done Fast returns just before E3, and Hidetaka Miyazaki tries not to read Tam's texts. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Tamoor Hussain, everybody. Tam, how are you doing?
Hello, Jeff. Jeff, I'm cold. As such, I will be
there. Well, okay, there it is. He's got an Elden Ring blanket on him. Is it a blanket at least? Does it have sleeves?
No, it's just a straight up blanket.
Okay.
You know what? When they sent this as part of some, I don't know why they sent it or when they sent it. Right. I can't remember. An Elden Ring blanket just appeared in my apartment. Yeah. I was like, this looks terrible.
It wasn't even. Looks like there was no postage on it. Clearly, someone just left it at your front door. Yeah.
But the thing is, this blanket is very good.
It looks real cozy.
My cat really loves it as well.
Sure.
This is her favorite blanket. So I will be doing this as comfy as I can. I think I did it. I shouldn't have used this method because now I don't have access to my arms. But you know what?
This is why I need the slanket life.
Yeah, I am comfy.
You look comfy. You look comfy cozy.
I'm comfy cozy. I've got the Elden Ring on me, so you know what? I'm ready.
It's looking pretty good. Are you ready? I saw you do on Twitter last night, kind of asking people what their game of the year was. Seemed like you're having a pretty good time with that. Is that how you get ready for the end of the year? Just go on there, just causing a little trouble, being a little mischievous.
Cause a little trouble. I was like, I'm gonna ask a bunch of people, what their game of the year. Just because I was like, I wonder if anyone comes back with anything weird. Like, if anyone's like, you know what, my game of the year is a game I've never heard of. Mm-hmm. But also, I was like, maybe I can have some fun with this.
Yeah, sure. Of course you can.
And I was looking for someone to have fun with it. And who comes along but one Lucy James? She comes along and, like, honestly, I wasn't like expecting someone.
I didn't think so either. But she was like, that looks like a rake.
Yeah, she came to me and she was like, that's a rake. I'm not going to step on it. And I was like, are you not going to step on it?
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, step on the rake.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, no, I will not step on the rake. And then I went, hey, step on the rake. She went, okay, I guess I'll step on the rake. And then when she stepped on the rake, she got a D's nut stroke, right?
Yes, she did. I was I enjoyed all of it. It was like over the course of like an hour too. So I'm like, the build up, the tension was there. I was like, okay, here we go.
I can't remember who it was, but someone immediately posted the parable of the frog and the scorpion, which was incredible. And I was like, yes, this is pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh boy, it was real good. It got me through last night for sure. All right, let's get into the mess. Before we do so, let's explain what we do here. Each weekday, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. Tam's going for the over-the-shoulder method now with the blanket, which is probably the right call. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. Hello, Twitch. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Shout out to the RSS gang and shout out to YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with...
I doubt you could even imagine it. That which commanded the warmth.
There he goes, immediately.
The Elden Blanket. The Elden Blanket.
Ye tarnished needs some tide. Summer Games Fest returns on June 8th in Los Angeles. Summer Game Fest, the global fan celebration of what's next in video games, said it will return for the fourth year with a live kickoff show on June 8th, 2023 in Los Angeles. The previously all-digital show will take place in person in front of a live audience at the YouTube Theater at Hollywood Park in Inglewood, California. Inglewood. It will feature world premieres, live gameplay demos, and announcements. It will also be streamed live around the world. They're going to put it in Jeff's mom and dad's IMAX theaters, so you can go check that out if you want. They're doing this right before E3, Tam. Mm-hmm. Basically, this is like an elongation of E3 now, because this is June 8th. Then we're going to have the weekend where a bunch of E3 stuff happens, and then E3 will officially start. But E3 basically starts that weekend anyhow. This is kind of where they were always going, right? Where we kind of always were going to be back to back. It doesn't seem like he's saying, "Oh, I have become more friendly with the ESA again." but it does sound
No.
like they are not worried about getting in each other's way, right?
No, I feel like this is the smart thing to do. Like Jeff just comes in before them, and to be clear, like there's been one Summer Game Fest so far, and it was last year's one. It was the first one. We went to it, and it was really good.
Yes.
Credit where credit is due. Like, say what you will about Jeff Keighley, the man knows how to throw an event.
Without a
And
doubt.
we went there, and I was like, oh, this is great. Like, it was kind of smaller than I expected, but that really helped it. It felt like a contained environment where I could go. I could play pretty much everything. I could talk to who I needed to. And then afterwards, there was enough like networking opportunities to speak to like developers and get like eyes on, or at least get things on our radar that we might not have come into there with appointments with, you know? And it was like really well done. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm excited to see this grow. I'm excited to see this turn into something bigger at some point. And I don't know if the scale is going to change for this, but even if it remains exactly how it is, having that before a proper E3 is going to be very manageable, I think. We were there for maybe like a day or two. And we had a hotel nearby where we had like a small event space that we ferried people to, or invited developers to come and do our stage show or like our interview stuff when we were doing on camera, and it worked out really, really well for us. So it definitely feels like this is the best way to be complimentary at the very least. If you wanted to be like, you know, screw E3, he could easily just line up a bunch of cool things that they probably will have to have, like, you know, the leftovers of. And if he wants to do that, fair play to him. It's his prerogative. He's kind of earned it, like the opportunity to,
without a doubt. And I think he's done it in a way where it's like, you know, if you're competing with the ESA for big announcements or whatever, or I mean, now it's just, you know, ReedPop, whoever's putting on whatever these events for E3, but he's done it in a way where it's like, okay, it's still going to be in this contained space for us, where people who like to watch this stuff from home and us having to cover it, we can make plans, travel arrangements around this real easy, and it's not going to cause problems for us. And so it's like, oh yeah, this is just kind of almost feels like a friendly competition at this point, as opposed to what it was before, which was like Jeff Keighley clearly saying that the ESA was incompetent and I should do this because you guys can't handle it. And for the last couple of years, he's definitely been right. We'll see how that changes under ReedPop. But ReedPop so far, and the people they put in charge of this have said, we realize that we need to work with people like Jeff Keighley doing their own thing going forward. And I think that this is the first good sign that at the very least, they're not going to try to prevent something like this from happening. And at the end of the day, it's going to work out good, I think, for where people want that 2 weeks where just everything happens, and preferably, it would be shorter than that, 1 week, but even before the pandemic and before things got messy with the ESA sort of falling apart, it was spreading out over a 2 week period anyhow. So we can work with that, and I'm totally fine on that side of things.
Yeah. It's honestly like it's ReedPop and ESA. I think a lot of people still have some of the kind of bad taste in their mouth from the way that the final E3s shook out and leaks and that kind of stuff, especially around the ESA. But now that ReedPop knows how to put on an event, so I'm more optimistic. I feel good, or I feel better about what they put together. And so far, based on what they've been talking about and what they've been communicating, because we have communicated with them, like specifically they reached out to outlets like ours and were like, hey, what do you want out of this? And like we told them, like, hey, this is what we need, this is what we think we should have at an E3 or new E3. And like they are clearly like communicating with us. They keep reaching out every now and then. They're like, hey, do you think this is a good idea or not? And so like it feels like they're doing their best to make a good E3 happen. And best case scenario is we have this great, cool little event from Jeff, the Summer Games Fest stuff, where, he figures out, I'm sure he knows what E3 is going to be. I'm sure they're talking to him constantly, trying to, make sure that it's all cool and stuff. And I'm sure that he's going to look at that and be like, I'm going to try and make something that complements it or is like unique in my own way. And then ReedPop hopefully will have a good E3 again, and everyone benefits. Like we get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and it's like, no guarantee that all these shows will be worth everyone's time. There's always a lot of things that sort of fizzle out as we get to E3 and excitement builds, and it's like, oh, it didn't really pan out. There was nothing in that show for me. But that's just the reality of putting on an event like this. And Keely's acknowledged that over the last couple of years, where he's like, there just weren't a lot of games that this year that for us to get into our event.
Yeah,
that happened last year, and it could happen again.
I'm deeply upset that he didn't use the Key 3 branding.
Yeah, I mean, you made it clear through your lawyers that you were okay with handing that over, right?
Yeah. I told him like you should lean into that. All I require is the occasional like nod, like
of course,
to my Tam GameSpot, Tam Lucy and GameSpot.
Get your flowers,
yeah.
Absolutely.
But he doesn't seem like he's into it. Jeff, we're still open to it.
Yes,
like, we won't even ask for any money.
He's gonna come crawling back about any minute now. Yeah.
Let's do it. I just want everyone in Giant Bomb World, just make sure you're using Key 3. Just at him now and be like #Key3.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks for coming back.
Get him, everybody. I guess we'll hear more about like what E3's plans actually start to look like here pretty soon. I would imagine. I guess we're gonna have to, a couple weeks here. We're probably gonna have a meeting about all this stuff. Start figuring out what we're gonna do with it. But
let me tell you something fun, right?
Yeah.
What? You know when my E3 2023 meeting started?
Yeah. When?
January.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy. The January of 2023. It sounds like these tickets are early in next year. The tickets for these are going to go on sale. So if people want to like go there and be a part of this stuff, like they are opening it up, and you can go and bring all your gaming friends, bring your stuff, come hang out. We'll have a LAN party. I don't know. All right, let's move on to Hideo Kojima continues to tease unannounced new game. Kojima Productions director Hideo Kojima continues his mischievous efforts to tease fans with iconography from his studio's still unannounced new title. Following on from the recent reveal of two of its main cast members, Kojima has now offered up a selection of mysterious symbols related to the project. I might have those right here. And apologies for not having like who wrote these stories. I put all these stories together on my phone in a cafeteria built for first grade. Well, not even like kindergartners and preschoolers. While my daughters were meeting Santa today at their schools. It's a weird place, Ohio. We do weird things here. Let me bring up this though. I should be able to get this.
Ohio.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Now it's not in there. Let me read the rest of this. I'll bring up those symbols here in a second. Kojima tweeted out a stark black image featuring three unique logo designs, all of which look like the type of emblems one might see on a flag or a company banner. Alongside the image, Kojima wrote a simple message, start of a new journey, actually says start a new journey. Once again, shrouding the studio's next game with intrigue and mystery, as the Metal Gear Solid and Death Stranding's creator is wont to do. This is Kojima doing his stuff, start a journey. These three emblems. I'm sure people are trying to break this stuff down. Where are you at in terms of engaging with Kojima's bullshit? Which I say in a loving way.
I'm all for it.
Yes,
I'm 100% for it. I will make it clear that I am unabashed Hideo Kojima fan. Metal Gear is probably my favorite franchise of all time. And I just love that. Here's the thing. We can either have this or we can have a traditional marketing cycle.
Yes.
I know what I would prefer.
Me too.
Like, I would prefer someone trying to have a little fun with it. I would prefer that someone injects their own brand of creativity into the process of unveiling a game. Whether whether you like that or not depends. Some people might be like, I hate this shit. And you can easily disengage from it, whatever.
Absolutely.
I personally like it. Like, I would rather him be like, here's a couple of weird symbols I made that is going to be about in my next game than an email from a teaser process where it's like countdown clock, which is what traditionally a marketing team, a PR team would want to do. I let my man shine by doing weird shit, and I'm all for it, man. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
I also feel like he does fun stuff, man. The whole Joaquin Mogren stuff was fun. I think like the closest we got to a traditional marketing kind of like campaign was Death Stranding, and I wasn't a big fan of the way they unveiled that. Like, there was a lot of like, we're gonna do a lengthy presentation at TGS, which was like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, but like some of the trailers were still like felt very much like Kojima doing his trailers kind of stuff, and that was the best part of the Death Stranding promotional like period. But you're right, it missed some of this fun magic and teasing, which he's very good at.
You know, Jeff, I'm gonna put in a picture into the chat for this Discord thing.
Okay.
This is completely unrelated. Like, he's just a picture of him with someone. But look at his little face. Just can you just zoom in on his little face?
Yeah, I can bring it up here in a second.
I'm gonna need you to just like zoom in on his little face. He's with an actress named Shioli Kutsuna. Japanese Australian actress. Might be in the new game. Probably is gonna be in the new game.
I'll be able to cut over. Let me cut over to us, and then I can do it right here and get this in here for us.
Look at his little face, man. It's just having a nice time. He's making a video game, and he's having a nice time. That's ultimately what I want for him, and I want for everyone. I want for everyone to just feel like the way Kojima feels in this moment.
There he is. Excellent.
Look at this. Look at his little face.
Listen. He denies himself no pleasures. I'll say that. Like he wants to go meet famous people. Wants to go meet all his favorite like friends that are in his TV shows and stuff. He does it. He makes it happen. And that is, I can't deny that is. There's something about that that's pretty fun. It's also
man. Look at him. He's cute as fuck.
Yes, he is. He's adorable.
I'm saying it now. Hideo Kojima, cutest video game developer.
Absolutely.
Look at him.
Cutest game developer of the year, without a doubt. It's kind of. I
love the other image.
Yeah. try to get everything out of here real quick. Yeah. Oh boy. This doesn't happen that often in like movies or like music. Like a cool person puts out an album, and there might be like they might have their signature on what the marketing campaign looks like, but it's still mostly, the Tower Record. I don't know, but whatever major Virgin Records has like a major corporate marketing arm that is going to want to be in charge of all this stuff. And it kind of feels like gaming's still small enough, even though it's this massive corporation or massive business that makes billions and billions of dollars, that Kojima could be like, no, I'm going to do it all myself. I'm going to be in charge. I'm going to make all these calls. And obviously that helps with an independent studio. But even like with indie record labels or indie movies, they don't ever sort of try to pull this sort of thing off. There's, ARGs here and there, but those are often still done by corporate entities separate from the creator of the thing itself. And so it's like this feels special, and it's probably not going to be this way forever. In 10, 20 years, whenever Kojima's done making games, and we get to the next generation of creators, they're probably gonna be like, well, we would like to do this, but now we operate in this system that is very rigid. And so yeah, I'm like, I want to enjoy this while we can, because this is it doesn't always work, but it's still always interesting to see how Kojima's going to try to engage us before his game is ready. And he's made it part of enjoying his games, where it's like, even when a game's not out, you could still have fun with my games when you're not playing them, because you get to think about them and imagine all the ways that they might be different, and here's all the teases I'm doing. And that's cool, because we do spend a lot of time wondering what we're going to play next, and it's cool that he thinks about things in those terms.
Yeah, I also I'm excited to see what his new project is. At the very least, I feel confident in saying that we know he's not gonna just do something that is ordinary. Like we know he's not gonna do I'm gonna do a battle royale game.
Yes,
probably not. If he's doing that, he's being weird with it. He's being a little freak about it.
He's going to put
whatever he's doing, whatever he's making, he's gonna be a little freak about it, and that's what we need from certain game developers, right? That's what I'm excited about. How will he? Who could have predicted what Death Stranding was? No one.
Right. Exactly.
Right? And say what you will about it. I think that game is quite a big breath of fresh air in a lot of ways. And I don't think it's spectacular, but I think that it's definitely valuable in the kind of legacy of Kojima. So I'm excited to see what he does next. Maybe he'll be like, you know what I'm making? I'm making a sports game.
Hell yeah! I would.
I've got the FIFA license now.
Yeah, that's what they meant when they're like, hey, "Listen, we're only going to work with the best," and they're going to work with Kojima. Anything to say about these specific logos? One of them's like a P, an A, and a C, and kind of
they reminded me a lot of the PMC logos from Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
which is cool.
One in the middle looks like the put on your headphones symbol whenever a game tells you to put on your headphones.
It does look like that. Yeah. I mean, if this is tying into that horror game that I loved, here's what I look at. I look at these logos, and then I think about what he's done, or what they've teased before. He's supposed to be making some sort of horror experience, and my brain just creates corporate horror.
Yeah,
and that is something that sounds pretty interesting to me. Like a horror game with like corporations and that kind of stuff. Like imagine the whole PMC thing that he likes to kind of explore, but through the lens of, instead of war, through the lens of like horror and like human experimentation and that kind of stuff. I feel like they could have a lot of fun and do some really cool stuff with it.
I would dig that very much. All right, let's move on to Nintendo reiterates that its basic strategy for mobile is to expose people to its IP. Here's a quote from the company. While we feel the importance of generating revenue and profit through our mobile business, our business strategy with the business is to expand the number of people who have access to Nintendo intellectual property. Mobile games allow people to experience new entertainment from Nintendo and get familiar with its IP. I've heard them say this before, Tam. I just don't know how well that... I guess maybe that works through Pokemon Go, but even then, that just felt like that was reminding people who already were into the IP about the thing. And then, yeah, but maybe that did help sales going forward, and they're trying to replicate that. But it's like, I mean, you put like Super Mario Run out there, that wasn't like a thing where, okay, well, now I remember Super Mario. Everyone already knew Mario.
Yeah.
So it's just, I have a hard time seeing the link in the chain. They're
making money. They're trying to make money, man.
Yeah,
they're just trying to make money straight up. Like they can say, "Oh, we want to expose people to our properties." Like, come on, man. No one needs to be told who Mario is. Like, it's fine. Like, if you're saying that for like Fire Emblem, okay, I see what you're saying here. But like Mario is Mario. I don't think you're doing that. The idea here is mobile games make mad money. Mobile games, especially in Japan, are like one of the biggest. Like the way we feel and behave and like respond to console games is how they are with mobile games. Mobile games just fit into the lifestyle, the culture in a way that's much more. It penetrates the audience much more than console games, PC games, and it just makes sense for them to look at that market and go, "We need to have games on this." So fair play. That makes perfect sense from a business perspective. And like it's where all the money is for them. Like it's where a lot of money is, and by not getting into it, they leave that money on the table. If they want to position that, hey, we're as you know, we're positioning these games as a entry point to our IPs as a whole, so that they play this game on mobile, and they're like, I'm gonna play this on Nintendo Switch. I'm not buying that.
Yeah,
I would love to see the conversion rate from a mobile game to a Nintendo Switch game or any other console game. I don't think so. Just say you're making money. Move on. Whatever, man.
I think this feels like a consolation prize for them. They put out a handful of games, and only a very small number of them are either still operating or making a significant amount of money. Fire Emblem Heroes is pretty successful, but it's
a gacha game. That's why it's successful. It's like built to succeed. Like it was almost guaranteed that things are going to do decently well.
But they put out stuff like Dr. Mario or whatever, and a lot of these things have come and gone and really didn't make any money at all.
Is Dragalia Lost them?
Dragalia Lost was like them and as part of their partnership with DNA. Yeah. But Dragalia Lost also, I think, has mostly come to an end, or was going to come to an end. The point is they've done a lot of work on mobile, and a lot of the games just haven't made a ton of money. Mario Kart is obviously still going, but this feels like, okay, we made a bunch of attempts on mobile, and we haven't had a massive hit. Personally, obviously the Pokemon company over there did have that with Pokemon Go, but over here in Nintendo, we didn't have a massive hit, and so it's like, well, I mean, we're making a lot of money on the Switch. We definitely wanted to make a lot of money on mobile, and some of the games are, and that was the purpose of doing all this. Well, how do we get this to fit in our current strategy where, hey, the Switch is doing really well? Well, let's just remind people about the games. Yeah, exactly.
Here's what you do. Advance Wars Mobile.
Yeah, just put it on there.
Advance Wars as like a games as a service style thing where you're constantly rolling out new chapters.
And there's do it, and you can just easily play against your friends. There's like that Advance Wars.
Here's what you do
whenever you want.
Do Marvel Snap, but Nintendo characters.
Yeah, people in the chat are saying do it Pokemon. So finally make a Pokemon Snap.
Pokemon Snap, yeah. A card game that is entirely like Pokemon would be awesome. You know what? I'm going to say it. There's too many Pokemon.
Yeah, you know what?
I feel like what they need. I feel like what needs to happen is they need a Thanos-like figure to appear
Cullen,
in the Pokemon universe. And I think I have said this before. It should be Waluigi or Wario. I think it should be Waluigi, and he gets the Infinity Stone version, and then does a snap, and half of all the Pokemon just vanish.
I think if you are a Pokemon in 2 legs, your chances of surviving this are very slim, in my opinion. I want less of you.
So. He does it, and they're like, Waluigi, what happened? What did you do? And he's like, I killed all the ugly ones, and all the ugly Pokemon are gone.
I got the ones that look like man. Jan in chat offered up to do this himself, so I think he's already going through the list. He's just crossing a bunch out. All right, there's other Nintendo news. Nintendo says Panda had no influence over decision to close down the Smash World Tour, and that it did not tell Smash World Tour organizers to cancel the 2022 finals. This is an update on a story we did earlier this week where the Smash World Tour and unlicensed but sort of unofficially partnered with Nintendo Smash tournament that was going to have a big prize pool canceled its 2022 tournament and said it did so because Nintendo asked them to, and then it also canceled its ongoing 2023 tour that they were going to do. They said that this company or this organization, Smash World Tour, said they did this because Nintendo asked them. But they think that Nintendo asked them because Panda Global, I think is the name of the company that actually is partnered with Nintendo for Smash, was like in Nintendo's ear telling them to do that. Now Nintendo has basically denied a bunch of this. Here's how this goes. Nintendo has released a longer statement that further explains why it ended its partnership with the organizers behind Smash World Tour. Issued to IGN, the statement emphasizes this decision was solely based on our assessment of the proposals submitted by the Smash World Tour and our evaluation of their unlicensed activities. This decision was not influenced by any external partners, such as Panda Global. Nintendo wrote, any partner that we grant a license to...
this is not Panda Express.
This is not Panda Express. I mean, as far as I know, which, cool. That'd be very disappointing if Panda Express was
Panda
out there.
Panda Express do be wilding out sometimes. Though,
yeah, I mean, absolutely. Well, listen, that spicy chicken sometimes really hits the spot and make you do crazy things. Any partner that we grant a license to has to meet the high standards we require when it comes to the health and safety of our fans. It's also important that a partner adheres to brand and IP guidelines and conducts itself according to professional and organizational best practices. We use the same approach to independently assess all partners. If we discover that a partner is doing something inappropriate, we will correct it. So this is we mentioned something like a statement along these lines last time, but it's like this is Nintendo just coming out straight up and saying Panda Global did not make us do this. It's about health and safety, which to me sounds like we want an organization that comes to us that says they're going to use one of our IPs to do an event to say, here's all the things we're doing to make sure creepos aren't taking over our space. We were like, we're going to make sure that, we're background checking people who are going to be in places of prominence. And we are making sure that children can't just wander in by themselves and can't be bumping into people who have a history of grooming, which is stuff that has happened in the Smash community in the past. And so Nintendo's going to want to protect themselves from that, and it seems like that's kind of what the idea was here. And it might not rise to the level of Smash World Tour was doing anything actually inappropriate or harboring anyone inappropriate, but maybe they just didn't show enough to say, oh, we were going to all of these lengths required by Nintendo to get the IP. It's just got to be kind of frustrating still, though, because Nintendo did tell, Nintendo told, this is frustrating for the people who are going to attend, because Nintendo told them they could do this. Nintendo says now they never told them not to do the 2022 championship thing. And this organization said that that's what they did tell them, so they're not going to do it. It's weird, and all the people who were trying to travel to this thing just had the rug pulled out from underneath them, and now they don't even know who to be mad at. So that's got to be pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a mess of a situation, and I don't know. At least Nintendo is standing up and being like, "Hey, this is on us." But I honestly don't know what to say about this. It is like such a weird situation. I think the thing that sticks out to me is like the Smash community just cannot catch a break. Like every time they try and organize, they're like shut down when they do it themselves. Yep. And when they try and go through the actual proper channels, they are kind of led on, and it just feels like they really cannot catch a break, which is such a massive shame from them, because they're like some of the most passionate community around, and every community has its wrong-uns, but like you figure out ways of making events happen while trying to minimize the risk of that. If we stop events happening just because there is a potential risk, no events would ever happen. Like, and it's a mixture of like that mixed with Nintendo's sensitivity around its own IPs that causes stuff like this to happen, which is both understandable and also a shame.
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo did let, organizations do this stuff until all of those stories broke about problematic people in the community, and problematic people being like competitors and having a place of prominence in the community. They said that they are still committed to working hard to bring joy and fun to the community through tournaments, while also ensuring we and our partners are operating in a manner that is positive and responsible. And they said that they would try to continue to work with other unlicensed partners as well as Panda Global. But we'll see if that actually. I mean, maybe these regulations that Nintendo wants are so high that no one could actually meet them unless you are paying them money, right? So we don't know. All right, the Army planned to spend millions on Twitch and Call of Duty to recruit Gen Z. I bet that went real well. The U.S. Army's the U.S. Army tried to create a pipeline of gamers, and that's hardly secret at this point. But new documents show its recent detailed plans to spend millions to recruit Gen Z through gaming-related sponsorships and ad campaigns. The partnership ranged from Call of Duty Twitch streamers to sponsoring content at IGN and G4, with the aim of familiarizing audiences with Army values and bolstering its reputation among young people. The plans were detailed in internal Army documents obtained and published by Vice's Motherboard on Thursday through the Freedom of Information Act, and they include a breakdown of projected marketing spend through 2022. $675,000 was suggested for the WWE during June. $750,000 was earmarked for Call of Duty League and Paramount's Halo TV show, and $300,000 was listed for Call of Duty esports team Optic Chicago. The idea was seemingly to use the popularity of Call of Duty, the perennial best-selling shooter that's previously turned war crimes into kill streaks and violent geopolitics into bombastic playgrounds, to spread awareness of Army values and opportunities. Let's see, there's some other numbers here. New documents suggested that $600,000 was going to go to IGN as part of their Summer of Gaming showcase, and $500,000 for G4 before it recently was shuttered. I guess I knew this was always happening. It's just kind of stark to see the numbers thrown around: $500,000, $1 million, $900,000. It's just, man, this propaganda machine is really flush with cash and just kind of throwing it out there. I know the part of the story is that the people at G4 pushed back against this, but they were told by higher ups that, listen, we can't say no to any sponsorships right now, and that's kind of how this stuff keeps happening, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is gross, man. Like I try my best to try and remain like balanced on it, but I think this sucks. It's the kind of thing that happens, like, but it's important to like remember that a lot of the people that you see working at these websites are not the people responsible for looking at or even considering these deals. Like, this stuff happens behind the scenes, and it's stuff that is like, let's just say, like, in our past, in the GameSpot past, like, we've had stuff like this happen, and it's caught us off guard. Like, when it goes up on the site, you're like, oh, what the hell is this? And that's kind of like the separation of sales and editorial and video and that kind of stuff working to a degree, the firewall. We don't know what's coming. And sometimes the thing that shows up is probably the worst thing that can show up. So, let's not automatically assume the worst of Twitch and IGN and that kind of stuff. But this is just, I mean, it's the government and the army doing its thing, like, right? It's American tax dollars at work. Like, they need people to, they need to reach people, keep that churn going, make sure people are throwing their lives away and doing weird shit for the military. Also, like, just joining the military for whatever reason. And the way you reach them is through stuff like this, and in the modern day, games is where people are at. They're the people that they have assessed as being most primed to want to join the army, given their interests and background and that kind of stuff. So they're going for it.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say, yeah, don't join the military because of a video game if you can avoid it, please. All right. EA shares more accessibility patents. This comes from Marie Delisandri. Electronic Arts has added 6 patents to its accessibility patents pledge, aiming to improve access to games for disabled players. EA initially unveiled its accessibility patent pledge in August of 2021, sharing 5 patents for its previously protected technology and making them freely available to all developers and publishers. The 6 patents now being added to the pledge include a machine learning system for improving a player's experience and performance by automatically recommending and implying, if the player approves, controller configuration settings based on the player's specific gameplay style, skill, and tendencies, as well as and this is the second one, haptic feedback sequences to communicate to a player both the content displayed on a screen and how to select each item. 2 patents related to improving voice-controlled features, tech providing a virtual joystick that moves based on the position of the player's thumb on a touchscreen, a smart color blindness patent that adjusts gameplay depending on the player's condition. In addition to the patents, EA is also making Fontnik open source with the code now available on GitHub. This tool automatically identifies text in videos and video content and determines whether it meets specified size and contrast ratio criteria, making it easier to ensure that text can be read by players with varying vision concerns. This is pretty cool. It's kind of thing where I remember the story popping off, Tam, when it got announced in August 2021. You're like, okay, this is it feels like a one-time thing, even though they say it's an ongoing pledge. And then they come back and they make more of their patents open for everybody to use. And like for people that aren't aware of how patents work, patents are like they're pretty rigid. They're very protective of the person who creates the thing. They last for 20 years. So, and then after 20 years, anyone can do whatever they want with that stuff. But in that 20-year period, if you want to make something using that patented technology, you're going to have to license it, or sometimes you won't be able to use it at all if the person who owns it doesn't want to license it. This just says, okay, EA's like, listen, we do have these patents. We're going to make it open to everybody. You're free to use it as if the patent had already expired. And that's pretty neat, right?
Yeah, I think like this is one of the areas where the industry as a whole needs to work together in making stuff happen.
Yeah.
Like accessibility is so crucial to the evolution of games and the kind of like ability to invite more diverse people and to be able to play the games, that it's something that benefits the industry as a whole. So I think that there's good in taking what you have learned, created, and just making that available to all developers to work off and move forward with. I hope that they keep making stuff. Like EA is in a position where they can make companies like EA and I don't know, Activision, the big companies, the big deals that have loads of people and the smartest people work in there, are in a position to do the most good in this area. So I think that they should be leading the charge in a way of creating technology and then creating these kind of steps forward and then making that available to as many people as possible so that others can benefit from it and even like evolve it and kind of push the accessibility opportunities forward.
Yeah, and it's patents are kind of a weird thing, especially when it comes to software, where it just feels a bit wrong. Like these feel like ideas and not necessarily inventions. And obviously there's been a ton of patent law abuse. And so this feels like it's moving things slightly in the right direction. Of course, it would be better if there was, patent law reform, especially here in the United States. Short of that, though, and it seems like we're going to be short of that for some time, companies just offering these things up and making this more normal and making it other companies that don't make their like accessibility patents at the very least open for everybody to use will kind of look a little bit strange. That's okay. Yeah, we're putting pressure in the right direction, and I can appreciate that. Hidetaka Miyazaki says he's trying not to get distracted by Elden Ring's success. The Bandai Namco RPG, which has sold over 17 million copies and is the highest rated new game of the year, received a pair of PlayStation Partner Awards today, including the Grand Award for the best-selling game developed in Asia and the User's Choice Award. Reacting to the wins in an interview with Famitsu, Miyazaki said he was especially honored by the User's Choice Award due to the fact it's chosen directly by players. The publication asked Miyazaki why he believed Elden Ring had been such a commercial and critical success. He said, "I'm at a loss when people ask me why it's been so successful. But my feeling is that I don't intend to change the way I've been making things in the future. I try not to think about it too much because it could become a distraction when I make the next project. However, I am very grateful and feel honored. He basically went on to say, he also says, I try not to look directly at user feedback. That's because I can't listen to all the users' opinions. I'm afraid that if I do, the voices and opinions I happen to hear will have a strong influence on my future decisions. So I'm careful not to put other opinions directly into my own mind. But he says when he does look, he's always appreciative when he sees people that really enjoying older games, where he's not, because he's still trying to avoid like people responding to Elden Ring. This is where we want someone like Miyazaki to be, right? Just keep doing your thing.
Yeah, do your thing. Don't. I think that the reason those games are as good as they are is because he's kind of just following his instincts, right? Like the thing that we always worry about is when a game like this becomes a game like stuff that Miyazaki and their team From Software make is like the corporate side of things comes along and is like, this is a huge success, let's refine it, let's make it more palatable, do this, follow these kind of best practices, and you know, we've focus tested this into oblivion and do this X, Y, and Z, and that's when they start to become ordinary. I think what makes these games unique is that they still are in essence what driven by the creator and the minds behind it. Like, this is clearly what they want to make. And I think that happens because most people realize that just don't mess with this. Like, don't get involved. Like, when Activision came along and was like, hey, make this sword fighting game with us, it doesn't seem like they got too involved with it. They just let From make what they want to make, and they made one of the best games ever. And they just continue to do that. I love that, like, Miyazaki is kind of at least humble when it comes to his own success. He's kind of just being like, I don't know, man, I'm just a massive nerd about this shit, and I'm just going to carry on making it. I don't think too hard about it, which is like, great. I'm more than willing to let him just do his thing, and he's more than, and he and his team, which is important to say, have earned the right to just kind of do what they want to do, and not, and like, it feels smart to be like not distracted by Elden Ring success, and mainly because if you like, if they were the kind of people who would get distracted, I'm sure that they would be like, well, we just got to make another one of these.
Yeah, right. We don't want them to do that if they don't want to do that, right?
Yeah, chances are they might do that because it feels like they've not stumbled upon, but like they've crafted a new framework for their games. But like going through, but like it's not a given. Like, they could pivot into something that's completely different just because Miyazaki and the team want to do that, and they've earned the right to that. And I think most people would probably be like, yeah, go do what you want, man.
Yeah, you mentioned like, they have maybe some freedom now because of the success of Elden Ring and confidence. And he's like, that's kind of what he says, is like, you know, we don't think From's position has changed. We're just going to keep making what we want to make, but selling 17 million copies will back us up in the future when we try to make our point about what we want to make. And I think you're right that they've already had this reputation. They've already had a lot of leeway. Obviously now they're going to get even more. But you think, so he doesn't look at feedback. Do you think no one's just told him that people want Bloodborne on PC and 60 frames per second? Maybe is that the problem? He just hasn't looked online.
It's a good chance he just does not know.
He just doesn't know. Like, so people don't even like that game. Yeah.
What? I love the idea of him being there thinking, man, everyone hates this game.
Yeah. Don't ever tell you that. Listen, I don't look online, but no one's ever just come up to me and said they want it on PC.
He keeps seeing the word Bloodborne PC, and he's like talking to his translator, and they're saying, what does PC mean? And they're like, oh, it's a very bad word. It's a very, very bad word. Don't read those comments. Just mute the words PC. It's like mistranslation. What are they calling me a PC for?
Yeah. I'm like, no, you're a PC. Monster Hunter Rise is officially coming to PlayStation, Xbox, and Game Pass. Following a recent leak on Thursday, Capcom officially confirmed plans to bring the games to new platforms. Monster Hunter Rise will be released for Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One and Windows Game Pass for Xbox, and then PC, PlayStation 5, and PlayStation 4 on January 20th, 2023. Then the major expansion, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, will launch in the spring of next year. This was kind of inevitable. Capcom has always kind of eventually put these games out in as many places as possible. Still, though, it's nice to see this game that was very successful and looked great on the Switch, then obviously looked way better on the PC, is now going to be out there for everyone to play. Do you think this says anything about the I guess the rhythm at which they are going to release the next Monster Hunter World, or like, or does it say anything at all about that?
Wait, say that again.
Do you think that them putting out Monster Hunter Rise on Xbox and PlayStation, now at the beginning of 2023, do you think that means like maybe Monster Hunter World is further off than we think?
Yeah, I mean, like, no, I don't think so. I think like what they've done here is like they know that there's a massive audience for Monster Hunter everywhere. I imagine that when they were working on Rise and put the exclusivity deal with Nintendo together, I think that people at Capcom were like, this is a limited exclusivity because we have a worldwide Monster Hunter audience now. And it's a lot similar to, how it was for Monster Hunter going from PlayStation onto other things with World, right? Like it was now that we have World and it's been a Frontier, sorry. Was it which one was it? Which one was the multi-platform one? Monster Hunter World?
Yeah, Monster Hunter World, yes.
Yeah. Now that we have that, and a lot of people are like into the idea of a Monster Hunter game, it just makes sense that this game would eventually go everywhere. I don't think it's going to slow down any other future Monster Hunter projects. I feel like this is a smart way to ensure that the new people across all platforms that now have an interest in Monster Hunter have something fresh to keep it going. It makes good business sense, and it makes great kind of sense for Capcom to maintain the momentum that they built with that last game, which was a major thing. Like they after coming off PlayStation, like I don't think it was a given that Monster Hunter would bang everywhere, but like they created a game that was really, really good, and they put it out on every platform, and people came to it and were super into it. And Rise is really good. Like Rise is really fun. It's a nice evolution or an iteration of the core Monster Hunter. It's different from World, but I think a lot of people are going to jump into it and be like, "Oh, this is interesting."
Mentor Chess says they want to hit it now while they have that Tar synergy going. Are you aware of this? Yeah. This.
No, tell us about it.
Tar's that new Cate Blanchett movie where she plays like this auteur composer, I think, and she becomes problematic, and she essentially gets canceled. And so at the end of the movie, after like playing all the biggest symphonies in the world and being like at the top of the world, the movie ends with, and this spoilers for Tar. The movie ends with her in some unnamed Asian country doing a Monster Hunter concert and doing like conducting that instead. And it's like, oh man, her fall from grace. She's at the top of the world now. She's conducting a Monster Hunter trailer or a concert. I'm like, oh man, I love that. It's so funny to me. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that this is probably them being like, we are maximizing what we're getting from Rise, and this doesn't actually say all that much about when we expect World to come. Someone in chat mentioned they're two different teams. I think that's probably right. But even if it's not, I think they always kind of knew that this is the way this was going to go. I think the best analog for Monster Hunter continues to be Pokemon. They put out a Pokemon every year. They would put out a Monster Hunter every year if they could. So I expect that World 2 to come along here still very soon, or as quickly as it possibly can, and not be affected by Rise at the very least.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit these next couple of stories here pretty quickly. Star Wars Battlefront 2 for PSP looks set to join the PlayStation Plus Classics library. I put this story in here because we've gotten a couple of updates to the PlayStation Plus Classics library without a real kind of classic game for quite some time. And now they are putting Battlefront 2 on there. I think they're also putting Ridge Racer 2, Dino Crisis, and Soul Calibur Broken Destiny. So that's pretty exciting, I think. Ridge Racer 2 was one that they mentioned in a trailer, like weirdly, and then it didn't actually come out, so now it's actually here. I'm excited. Any of those stand out to you? You playing any classic games still on your PlayStation Plus premium subscription?
No, absolutely not. No, it's a good time for that.
No. I mean, even if you did at time, it's like they went so many months without adding the classic games. It's kind of like, why would I keep my subscription to this?
It's kind of embarrassing, man. It's just like, I guess, whatever, do what you want. All right. Yeah. I could not care less about Star Wars Battlefront 2 for PSP coming to the Plus Classic Library.
And that Soul Calibur Broken Destiny is the PSP one too, so it's
I mean, like, it's fine. Like, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that game when it came out, but like, am I going to go back to it?
No. The Darkness / Chronicle of Riddick director joins Indiana Jones team. Let's see. Jens Anderson has joined Machine Games to lead design on its Indiana Jones game. This has been confirmed by VGC. Anderson will act as design director on the title and work in parallel with creative director Axel Torvenius. Trevenius, there we go, who was previously at art director for the Wolfenstein games, and with executive producer Jörg Gustafsson at the helm. The design director will be familiar with his new colleagues as, like many at the Swedish studio, he previously worked at Starbreeze. Anderson also contributed to many of Machine Games' previous titles as a freelance designer. This is pretty cool that they're bringing back one of the star designers from this part of the gaming world, and that it's pretty cool. But also, do you think this also means Indiana Jones is much further off than we think?
Yes, I think Indiana Jones is quite far off.
Yes,
that's a given. I don't know, like I'm excited about the talent that's being brought on, but like I also haven't heard from them in a really long time.
Yeah, this game was announced in January 2021, so we're going a year and a half from the announcement. So we're still obviously far from a release, but it's like also we're probably due for a little bit more about this game. And they just released the new movie trailer, so maybe they will start talking about the game again, or maybe they won't. But it's hard to get too excited.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, cool. That sounds good. Bring on some talent. Great. I'm glad everyone knows each other to a degree so they can have a good working relationship, hopefully, and that makes the development process smoother. Machine Games, good developer, good studio.
Yes.
And so I hope that puts them in a stronger position to make the game. But yeah, it's just like I'm excited, but also I'm not like I got nothing to like be overly excited about, just because like it's been many years since I've experienced these developers' work. So I hope that they have some great ideas for this, and I'm excited to see more of the game.
Yeah, Anderson most recently did. He worked at LucasArts, and then he left, and he worked on Yoku's Island Express and a Switch art title, Color Live. I really liked Yoku's Island.
Yoku's good.
Yes, that's fun. That's neat.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I was
Good
going
luck to them, is what I say.
Yes, absolutely. Here we go. Let's just do a quick Callisto Protocol review roundup. Tam, you played a little bit of this. You didn't write the review, right, for GameSpot, but you got your hands on. You have an opinion about it. What'd you think of Callisto Protocol?
Sadly, not what I had hoped it would be. Went into it with good hopes. Wanted more, something like Dead Space, and I think that's a fair expectation, given that the team itself has been very open and willing to invite the comparisons, and say that yes, we worked on those games, we're gonna take as much as we can from them because no one else is doing that, and we think they're all good ideas, which is music to my ears. Sadly, it's kind of disappointing in a number of ways. I will say the good things that it has are it looks really nice at times. Like it can very, very good art direction in it. Some really nice character models, those faces, really, really well. And like that's great, but pretty much everything out is fairly disappointing. Story doesn't really become anything, isn't anything. Very threadbare. The combat is the biggest problem. It hinges on a melee system, and sadly it doesn't really work outside of one-on-one scenarios, and it moves away from one-on-one scenarios very quickly. It starts doing the thing where it's like, here's multiple enemies, and at that point the whole kind of combat model falls apart. There's no puzzles in it. There's no real like unique quirk or gimmick to it. It doesn't have 0G or anything like that, like anything cool like that. It's just, it all hinges on its most unique feature being the combat, and the combat just doesn't work. And by the time you reach the second half of the game, the encounters it puts you in are just bad. It's got one mini boss which is repeated a few times, which is just a one-hit kill annoying mini boss, and then it ends with a absolutely baffling final boss that just, it doesn't make any sense. I sadly wouldn't recommend it. I hope that they get another chance to do something like this again, because they clearly have some idea of what makes a good survival horror game. It just feels like it needed a little more thought, it needed a little more time in the oven, and it needed a little more like extra design stuff to make it unique and a bit more interesting and kind of like engaging. It just feels like a long, boring corridor with a lot of bad combat.
Yeah, it's kind of sounds like the thing that I will take your advice there and probably won't play. Do you think though, Dead Space was your game? It's you can't stop thinking about it. You always wanted another one. Well, this is the closest you were going to get for quite some time until something else happened. But do you think in that context that someone could get something out of this?
No.
Yeah,
I would recommend play Dead Space.
And Dead Space Remake's coming, isn't it?
Dead Space Remake is coming. You can also just chuck on original Dead Space 2 or Dead Space 1. It's on Game Pass. Holds up pretty well. Still looks pretty nice. If you're playing on PC especially, like you can crank up some of the effects and stuff like that and get some good out of it. I feel like Dead Space is a better game still.
Yes. Yeah.
And like it's a more interesting game. But yeah, I would say even if you're into that kind of thing, you've got limited, like the first couple of hours are good, but they are, after that point, they are indicative of what that game is in its entirety. You can carry on playing for the rest of the 10-ish hours it takes, or you could just bounce after that 1 or 2 hours because it's only going to get more frustrating from that point onwards.
Yeah, the Metacritic is 76. That's with 26 positive, 11 mixed. There's some positives on the high end. Dexerto gave it a perfect score. See, PC Games.
It's actually pronounced Deserto.
Deserto. I tried to. I read that, and I still am like, I've not been able to internalize it. Deserto. All right, sure, whatever. You got to do what you got to do. All right, the PCX Brazil gave it an 85. IGN Spain gave it an 80. I'm trying to see if I got any. WCCF Tech gave it a 72. The Callisto Protocol, throughout all of the tension and suspense, can't mask the tears within. Might only be surface deep. That sounds like echoing a lot of what you said, where it's just kind of not going to do much more than what you were expecting. IGN gave it a 70. The Callisto Protocol is a satisfyingly gory spiritual successor to the Dead Space series, but it's ultimately more of a striking modern mimic than a scary new mutation. And then, VGC gave it a 60. The Callisto Protocol delivers the violence, intensity, and horror that lives up to its Dead Space predecessor, but with deeper strategic combat. However, a cliche story and lack of original ideas means that it has one tentacle stuck in the past. Do you think what might have held it back is just trying to get a new game like this off the ground requires so much effort you can't take too many risks? Or do you even know where to begin to speculate? I don't know about that.
I feel like the problem it has is like it kind of fails fundamentally on all the things that you need to make a decent survival horror game. Like it doesn't feel like it ticks the right boxes to begin with, and like I fully understand how hard it is to make games, design games, and I do not take any pleasure in saying that it kind of fails at it. Like I could not do it probably, but like they I think it's partly trying to get this thing off the ground is not going to be easy. I just feel like some parts of it are so ill-conceived and performing in such a bad way that it almost feels like it wasn't even tested, like at times. And I'm sure it was, but I was like, how did this get in here? Like, I don't understand. How did people allow this to go out like this? So I feel like it's a mixture of like struggling and the effort that needs to go into getting a new IP and a new game off the ground, but also a kind of some failings on the development side. Which I'm sure they're all aware of.
Yes, they probably know better than any of us about it.
Almost every developer knows when their game has issues. Like it's not, and like sometimes there are considerations that we just don't know about that have to be made that end up in this situation, end up with us in these situations. So, yeah.
The one thing I have heard, if you are going to just rush forward and play this game regardless of the reviews, people have said they've had a much more fun playing it on easy. So there's my recommendation to everybody.
Yeah. Also, don't play on PC. Play it on console.
Right. Yes. Man, that's rough. I was like, I was going to try to play it on Steam Deck. That's not going to work.
No,
that's
just
not going to work. All right. Yesterday, I asked, do you think that Nintendo and Game Freak will make serious improvements to Pokemon's performance? And to that, 22.3% said yes, and 77.7% said no. So vast majority kind of having a trust issue with Game Freak's ability to address the performance side of things. I think most people have a consensus that the bugs, the major bugs and the memory leak issue, that stuff probably will be addressed, but no one's really expecting if that stuff improves performance, okay. But if that stuff doesn't, they're going to move on. to the next Pokemon game. They're just not going to spend a lot more time trying to fix a performance that has not stopped it from selling 10 million copies. What do you think? Do you think that they're going to come out there and keep doing patches that really significantly improve performance?
No, I don't think so. If it goes by previous generations of Pokemon, they are gonna probably put out a new version of this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they usually do like a new version of whatever the latest.
Yeah, recently it's been
Pokemon
DLC, but it's
is.
the same concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I imagine like maybe there'll be some improvements in that version of it, but I think like some of it is just like struggles with the way the core game is created. Yeah.
All right, for tomorrow or for Monday's poll, excuse me, you can only go to one: E3 proper or Summer Game Fest. You got to pick one. Let's see what people preferences are. How about you, Tam? You can only go to one. Which one would you choose?
I would probably go to Summer Game Fest.
I think I probably would too, because you're going to be there. I want to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, let's hit that and let's just do that. Yes, there we go. All right, that poll is now live. Tam, you got any plans for the weekend? What do you got going on?
Oh man, I don't even remember what I'll be doing this weekend. I'll probably be doing some work stuff, but I think I'm gonna be watching a lot of Lord of the Rings movies. I think we're doing a marathon with some friends.
Are you okay?
It's gonna be fun.
You got to blink if you need help. Do you need? Are you being forced to do this?
No. I'm into this.
Okay.
I'm into this.
All right.
It is all of the extended editions.
I knew that. That's what and so I'm like, okay, that's a big commitment. That's like a whole weekend right there. All right. So you're like, I wonder what my weekend plans are. Well, you just said the entire weekend. So listen, I really enjoy those extended cuts. It's a good time. Those are some of the better, like, okay, we had this movie, a theatrical version. We're going to make it way longer. Those are some of the best at that, because I remember I would get like Independence Day Special Edition, and that version sucks like way more than the standard version. That happens a lot of times. So like Avatar does the same thing. A special extended Avatar, like, no, don't watch that. That's kind of really poorly paced. But those Lord of the Rings movies do a good job of just making it feel like this was always the story.
Yeah. I'm excited to do it. I've never seen the extended editions. I've only seen the theatrical cuts, and I like the theatrical cuts quite a bit. So I'm excited to sit down and watch the extended editions.
I'm excited for you. Giant Bomb, we got UPF happening later today. We're in flux of figuring out exactly what that's going to look like, but we're going to make it happen. Don't you worry about that. It'll probably be a good fun time though. So you should tune in. And then we will be back next week with Game S Mornings and the Bombcast and everything else, except for when we aren't, because we'll be talking over the Game Awards. You're going to be going to the Game Awards next week. It's going to be a whole thing. So just come back to Giant Bomb. Come hang out with us, everybody. Until then, Tam, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And you're the best audience in gaming. Have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.